Right, gonna just test my mic here. If anyone can hear me, just let me know if I'm coming in loud and clear. If I'm a little too hot, too low, bursting your eardrums so I can adjust. Sorry about the squeaky chair. Ugh. All right. All right, cool. Be with you in a couple of minutes. Also, I might take this opportunity to just ask if anyone wanted to just sort of, if you have questions for upcoming streams, you can always put them in the chat and we'll file them away. And if it's something that I can answer in the stream, I will, but if it's something that I'll need to go away and research a little bit, I'll do that too. So feel free to, yeah, put it in the chat. Preferably grease pencil, since that's what my strength is. But look, if it's something that I can handle, look, just the worst I can say is no. Okay, I think I've got everything. Yeah, I've always got to adjust the camera when I can see myself. Hi. Hi everyone, welcome to this week's live stream. Based on a question from last week, was a really good one. I decided to look at keyframes, something I haven't looked at in Grease Pencil yet because I'm not technically an animator. I'm not really good at that. But keyframes have more functions than just straight animation. So I am going to show you today how I utilize keyframes for the purposes of presenting and creating concept art. So here's something that I created for a project that's still kind of ongoing for CG Cookie called Eat Sheep. I think it was covered before storyboarding with Blender. Yes, a little bit. This is just slightly different. Um, and what I've got here is this Wrangler. And down here you can, oh, hang on. Let me get my, it's always one, I always forget this one thing, magnify. Now you can see my arrow. Excellent, cool. And what we've got down here is a dope sheet. Now, when you work with grease pencil, the dope sheet automatically jumps into grease pencil mode. But there are a number of dope sheet functions in there for whatever purposes that you need. And you can always switch them. The straight dope sheet looks similar because it just works with keyframes of anything that you've selected. So for example, if I select this object down here or this text that I've created, under dope sheet, the keyframes appear. But because they're not grease pencil objects, they won't have any. This is, and this is. Now, for each keyframe, hi Elizabeth, thanks for joining us. For each keyframe, I have drawn a different expression. Okay, so you can see that I go through a range of expressions for this character, and then at the end, I've basically got all of them together. And this is mainly for presentation. Now, the advantage of this, there's a couple of advantages. Number one is we can work on an individual image and even change some things on the fly. So let's say, for example, that this one we kind of liked, but we wanted another emotion. Oh, actually, let's go with something like this. We want this one, and we want to make another emotion. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab these keyframes here by just box selecting, left click and drag. I hit the G key, and I'm just going to move them up a frame. I'm going to have to adjust something that I didn't adjust before, and that is my frame range in my output properties. I'm now going to have to just bump up to 8, so all 8 frames can be rendered. And now in this one, what I can do is I can duplicate this keyframe. So I'm going to select that, Shift D, and duplicate. And now let's say we wanted to edit some stuff here. Maybe give him a bit more of a grin, or let's go with proportional fall off, connected, and let's start just maybe moving these around a little bit. So for the director, maybe we can, hunch some shoulders up a little bit more, get this hat a little bit more, this sort of thing. Oh, that nose definitely needs to be a little bit larger. Anyway, we're just making this an example, right? But this is different from that. Okay, so now we've got another expression. I'll have to probably add it to the end here. So I'm going to scale these down a little bit. And go, great. Right, copying, pasting is going to be slightly problematic because we'll have to do it one layer at a time, won't we? So edit. There should be a way that I can just copy them and put them all on the last one. But okay, I'll just quickly do this. Control C, go to frame 8, Control V. And let's just move it over 4 meters here. Shade, copy, paste, move it over 4 meters. Okay, sometimes sketch. Yeah, we want the sketch one. We want all the layers. Unlock the refines. Copy. Frame 8. Refine. Paste. I think there's a shorter way. I just can't think of it right now. Unfortunately, really sorry. But anyway, I'm just putting these all over here. Okay, now let's take all of that and let's just scale that down. So now we have our final emotion there. Might have to just scale those inks down a little bit. Okay, so that's there. And so now we've gone ahead and added another emotion, which is slightly different. Okay, so we've got these frames, and you'll see that I've got 8 frames. I've basically just gone frame, 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 frame. I haven't set it out every 10th frame or anything like that. And then in my output properties, my frame range starts at frame 1, ends at frame 8. Okay, it's not without saying that if, for instance, we just wanted to render every 2nd frame or every 10th frame to make this a little bit easier, we can just change the step, and so that will render every 2nd or 3rd or 10th frame. But then what we want to do is select an output, and there's a little trick here. And just to show you, let's delete all of these that I prepared earlier. Yes, yep. Making a few mistakes here today, right? There's a trick in Blender, and that is wherever you put hashtags, Blender is going to make that a numeral and then give you the name for your frame. So the normal way of naming it is you give it a name and then just automatically adds the frame number at the end. Let's say we want to put the frame number at the beginning. Well, let's go shift hash 333. So hash. I'm going to go underscore Wrangler. Wrangler. There we go. And I'm going to accept that. All right. Now I'm going to render that animation. Bang, 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 bang. There, it's done it all. And in my render panel, don't know if you can see this large enough. There, you'll see that this slide here is indeed 001 underscore Wrangler. So wherever you put those hashtags, Blender's going to make that a numeral. I learned this trick a couple of months ago, and it's sort of changed how I set out slides and animations and all that sort of stuff. Because sometimes you get a program where you've got to bring in a bunch of slides. Yep, stream is healthy. And where the number sits is kind of important to that slide. All right, so I started out with this one, right? So this is also really good for making various concepts using methods that we'd already learned in previous live streams. Like last week, for example, using a mirror modifier for this. I'm going to do that to create a couple of variations of this particular character. And so I've got 3 body shapes. I'm going to space these out a little bit. Yep, sketch fills. But 1, 2. Let's say we want to do 2 more variations on each. So we go 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Yep, and 7. Excellent, cool. All right. So for as long as that sits there, that keyframe is maintained. But what we can do is on our lines layer, right? That's got a keyframe. Let's lock these off and let's make the opacity here a little bit lower. And let's do a little bit of sketching here. I'm going to add, like I did last week, my mirror modifier, just influencing my line layer, right? We isolate what the modifier is going to work on, and we're going to work on the x-axis, and by default it should just work at the 0 mark for this. We'll go over into draw mode. Now I've just rearranged my active tools here, but you can grab these things. Usually the brush is up here. I now tend to like having my brush settings down here because then I can pick my brushes over here, and it's just a personal preference. It's just how I how I work. And let's use this blue pencil. Ugh, I don't like that blue. Um, I want it from my drafting colors palette, something slightly darker. There we go. All right, and we want to bring down our brush size so slightly. So let's make some variations on this. Okay, so we've got this little Iron Man circle there, this little pauldron, right? And maybe he's got a helmet, right? Now with mirror, you can actually work on either side and it will just mirror it on the other one. So if you have a preference, switching is pretty easy. So let's go ahead and just make a variation on this real quick. Fingers, thumb, pants. I worked on these proportions very roughly. That ought to do it. Okay, so that's our variation one. We'll go up a frame and we'll make sure that our draw mode here isn't set to, there's a setting here, use additive drawing. Now, additive drawing sometimes comes in handy. Let's say we want to keep what we've got this, and we just want to add to it. So let's say we want him, and we go, oh, you know what? It'd be really nice if he had a cape. So we'll use additive drawing. I'm going to apply this mirror modifier. Oh, can't do it. Okay, object mode, apply. We'll go back to draw mode. Why? Because I want this cape to be asymmetrical. And so I'm going to get the little cape bits here. All right, and let's throw in a cape. Comes around here. And how would this work? It would go one, below. I'm not great with some of this billowing stuff, but basically you've just added that little extra bit. And so then with this one, maybe we want to change some other stuff. And so in this case, do we do erasing? I think so. If we erase this, it should stay there. Yes, okay, cool. So with additive drawing, erasing and adding is much easier because we've got everything that is still there. And so in this one, maybe we want to change one of the eyes. Because we've applied that mirror modifier, now we can draw asymmetrically. So maybe he's got sort of a bionic eye here. Right. Okay, looking a bit piratey. And maybe this pauldron is different. Maybe this is a larger one and he's got some spiky bits or something. Right. Because he's had to modify his armor along the way, and yeah. Okay. And so very quickly, we can use those keyframes to try things out and then sort of build up a concept. And if you wanted to, like say, okay, here's our first three for this one, and then we want this one, right? Maybe we take our initial design. No, hang on a second. Where's our inks? Inks, lines. Yes, I want to duplicate that. Shift D and drag over here. Okay, and maybe I just want to modify some parts of this and not all of them. So let's go into edit mode and let's begin to just sculpt some of this stuff. Yes, because the mirror modifier was applied. Yeah, it's a little bit harder. So maybe we just, you know what? I'm going to erase this. I'm going to draw over this one a little bit neater. Okay, pencil blue. So and let's bring back that mirror modifier. Mirror, influence, lines. Now this will influence the previous lines as well. Best to add a second layer for lines here. We'll just use that GP layer because I'm going to merge it down once it's done. Mirror, GP. So now, yep, that one should be retained, and this one should be fine. Great. So on this one, blue lines, let's give him some chunky boots. I sort of like the... Someone noticed my Mass Effect jersey or hoodie last in one of the live streams. So maybe this is sort of like one of the Volus, if you know your Mass Effect lore. So he's got big gloves here, maybe 2 fingers. So using these little tricks, it definitely helps build up concepts almost as if it's a sketchbook and each slide is a page, right? And it's just a simple trick, but one that can be very, very useful. Okay, now because that's going to have to, yeah, do that a little bit later. And then I want some asymmetry there as well. So first off, we'll apply that mirror. Of course, do it. Apply mirror modifier. And this was a recent addition to Grease Pencil. It wasn't here as of, I can't remember how many versions ago, but now you can actually merge layers down, almost like you merge layers in Photoshop or something. So let's take that GP layer. This is why I didn't label it, and I'm going to go merge down, and now that exists on lines, and we haven't destroyed anything we've done previously, right? Now, maybe we want to mix and match some things. Maybe we want to give this guy a cape. So if maybe we, I'll just change this to select lasso. Take this cape and go Control C to copy and go over to this frame and paste it. Now we've got our cape in here. Yeah, we don't need these lines. Didn't want it there. I wanted it on the next frame. So what do we do here? I cut it and paste it in right. In edit mode, I'm going to duplicate that frame and then paste it. Okay, there we go. So now we've got one without cape, one with cape. Excellent. Great. So I'll just go back into draw mode and erase a couple of lines. I've got that on erase stroke. Back into edit. And to put this somewhere here. It literally makes my day. Oh, well, then I'd better, yeah, mention it a little bit more. Although this, if I'm, if I mention Andromeda, is that a plus or a minus for anyone? Because I kind of liked it. I didn't hate it. I know a little bit about the lore behind the making of. Apparently, it was a real nightmare for the studio to make, and sort of knowing that they went through such huge amounts of changes to get any game at all and anything even remotely consistent was like I felt it was a solid game. You know, I didn't really like the Omni tool or the multi tool or whatever it was. Um, okay, added a few things. Ah, we don't need to see. We don't need to see that. We don't need to see my notifications. Um, yeah. So yeah, then I think I only want two of this guy, and so maybe with this guy, just bring him up there. Oh, hello. What's persisted? Ah, the lines. That's right. So I want to delete that keyframe and start drawing a fresh keyframe. This one we won't have additive. So if we do that, that one's conserved. The next one is not. And we can repeat the process, or we can make this guy completely asymmetric even. You know what? What's the time? Yep, I got 10 minutes. I may as well add that mirror modifier. I'm going to add another layer. Let's go with another GP layer. Influence, GP layer, right? And we'll begin to draw. So this guy has got more of a, I don't know, Roman-esque. It's got more of a, maybe a bit Thor, bit Marvel Cinematic Universe. Am I allowed to mention those things? I just did. If they sue us, maybe Disney will buy CG Cookie. No, I can't say that. Andromeda is criminally underrated. Yes. Okay. I didn't scare him off. Yes. Um, I did end up. Well, it was on sale on Steam. I think it is still on sale, like at a really insanely low price. I think it's like $6 or something, and that's like the one where they fixed all the facial animations after release and added little DLC things and whatnot, extra bits of armor and all those bits and pieces are right there. It's about 45 gigabytes uh, of space though, so um, maybe maybe talking about Mass Effect has kind of influenced what I'm thinking of doing with this guy. You know, maybe he's a bit. What's that race? What's that race? The scientist. Why is it slipping? Is it the Solarians? Is that it? It's looking a bit Solarian here. Um, yes. So hands off, Disney. You're not getting us. Um, so then we could do fan art to our heart's content. Well, of course, it'd have to pass like all of the usual checks and balances and all that. All right. So I think you get the picture. I think I'm just enjoying drawing here, but we now have some slides that if we wanted to just quickly render out, right? I'm going to grab my camera. Is my camera visible? No, it's not. Let's make it visible. And I'm going to zoom in here. Maybe I will change the shape of my camera. Wait a second. What's the best way to do this? I want the aspect to be, yep, okay. 1080, 1920. So it's this way. Maybe we'll, look, we can, hmm, hmm. Boy, this has probably been, there we go. Someone said it. I was right, Solarian. Right, we've got some capes there, so we'll definitely have to zoom out a little bit to get that cape in. Oh, something's happened with this camera. Auto keying was on, which means that on the dope sheet, our camera is shifting. So what we want to do is only have the camera in one spot. We can turn auto keying off, and now we should be able to do something like this. So let's say we wanted the camera there. All right, let's give that a location keyframe. Yeah, I'm going to be smart here. Okay, 1, and now we're going to do some auto keying location. This one? Actually, no, because this one is exactly the same, but this one needs to be that keyframe. And that one should be this one. Right. Oh, right. That's sliding. So, right. So now we've got keyframes for the camera, keyframes for grease pencil. Excellent. Roman Centurion is a really interesting image. Yes. So now we've got 6 frames. So in our frame range, we'll just go over to our output properties, frame range 6. We'll get our output the same as before, this one over here, and we're going to call this. Give me a name that isn't copyright protected. What do you think these characters look like? Sci-fi alien something. I'm thinking here. I'm thinking. Look, I'm just going to put concept sketch R1 for round 1 and accept that. Now we'll just do a quick render animation. Right? And now we should have oh boy. I think because we demonstrated these guys yes, right. Now we've got these little renders here that we can send off to someone. Sci-fi alien robots. There we go. Perfect. That's what I'll call them. And now we can send those off to a producer and they can make changes and whatnot. And then we can just go back as we want. And they go, okay, you know what? I really liked this one. But can you do something else with his head? Maybe give him a longer head, a smaller head, maybe one more Armorer, Cowboy, Blinken for a name. Oh, I like these names, right? And then you can just continue along. Now, if you don't want to destroy what you've done, all you got to do is copy those keyframes. So let's say likes the base. No, actually, we want this one. So I'm going to Shift D and move this over here. What's going on here? Ah, that's right. We didn't merge down that GP layer. Right. Let's merge that down. Okay. Now, when we get to frame 10, and I didn't do the apply the mirror thing. Oh my God. Oh, am I just getting worse? Oh, okay. Here we go. Right. There. Okay. Now, if we go duplicate, bang. Now we should be fine. No onion skiing. Yes, because we've got those as well. Let's just duplicate those frames as well. Okay, so then we've got a duplicate. We can continue to edit this and then send him another one. And just by adding to that, you can just, and you can just shuffle these keyframes around. So if you've got sets of stuff, shuffle a bunch of keyframes over like I did before with the Wrangler. And so, look, I hope this tip is helpful to some of you. It's just one way of using keyframes that isn't animation, but you can sort of almost do it like a flip book type thing. And it's just a really quick way of copying, pasting, editing, adding to concept work as you go. In a way that is, it utilizes all your tools you have at your disposal for creating concepts very, very quickly. So, look, thanks for joining me today. I hope to see you again next week where I'll have another topic. And of course, yeah, What's all the usual stuff? Yeah, go over to cgcookie.com, subscribe to the channel if you like it. I'm here usually every Friday, and yeah, all that good stuff. So see you for now, guys. Thanks again.